All right, welcome back. Well, those two gentlemen join us next. We're speaking about addressing electoral violence. First of all, let me introduce the guests. We have Mr. Mark Jacob, who is the chairman, venue committee for presidential rally in Kaduna. He's also the former national legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party. Then Samuel Yohana is a former assistant organizing secretary of the APC in Kaduna State. Is the immediate past. He just left that position. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Now, we know that there was a rally in Kaduna for the PDP. And then there was some skirmish, some violence occurred at that place, and it really raised a lot of concern. But for the avoidance of doubt, we might as well just read this part of the law, which we spoke to a little earlier, where it has to do with conduct at political rallies and processions. So that's of the Electoral Act 2022. So Section 91(4) says no registered political party in Nigeria, its aspirant or candidate shall be prevented from holding rallies, processions, or meetings at any time for their constitutional, political purpose, and the police shall, in consultative manner, resolve any conflict of time and venue between and amongst parties where such arises. We're about to find out if any of these scenarios played out. Gentlemen, again, good morning. Let me start with you, Mr. Jacob, concerning the scenario that we saw at the PDP rally in Kaduna. From your account, what happened?
Well, let me start by saying that the PDP rally was well organized. The mobilization was fantastic, and party members and admirers all converged at the Ranchers Beach Stadium. That is at the backdrop of the frustration we encountered with the original venue. The Minister for Youth and Sports refused to grant us use of the facility, even though we applied 10 days before the program. I personally followed up. I was in the Minister's office from 10 a.m. up to 4 p.m. He had not acted on the letter. That was on the 8th of October. And there was no response to that application until the 14th, when they now wrote to say they will not give us the place because it is undergoing renovation, which we went to the venue. There was nothing like that ongoing at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium. We continue to plead. Surprisingly, on Sunday afternoon, a few hours to the program, that was when the minister now sent us a letter saying that we can now use the venue, but that we must deposit 7.5 million naira upfront on a Sunday, and that we should ensure that there will be no breakage or damage, and we must deposit another 3.5 million as caution fee.
Mr. Jacob, I'm sorry, did you say the minister?
Pardon? Yes, the Minister of Youth and Sports.
Okay.
Yes. But let me say for the record that the governor of Kaduna State, in a very fine display of sportsmanship, granted us the use of the Ranchers Beach Stadium, which is a state facility. And I must say that even though the minister might have thought he's working for the APC, his counterpart in Kaduna was a great sportsman because he granted us use of the state facility. And I congratulate him for that. And for me, that is what we should be seeing in all the states. It is very embarrassing that public officers will use their offices to imagine that they are playing politics. And that is one of the things that the Electoral Act frowns upon, that facilities, public facilities, should be made available to all political parties, and that people should not sit in their high offices and display their dislike for other political parties. So the occasion was well attended, but we had an influx of very strange people who came into the arena after about 2 hours of people sitting down, dancing, exchanging pleasantries. There was no altercation anywhere. Then there was an influx of people wielding weapons and cutlasses. They just started attacking from the gate. Those who were seated in
were you able to identify, or was the party able to identify who those people were?
Well, the police made some arrests, and we are sure that they will do their part, because again, the Constitution recognizes who should be involved in law enforcement and who is responsible for investigation. If we had power, we would have stopped those people even from entering the stadium. But we just came there with our flags and banners. We didn't come prepared to encounter any physical attack like this.
Well, I don't know if you've seen a statement from the publicity secretary of the APC, and that statement categorically said that disruption of the PDP Kaduna rally was self-inflicted.
Well, these are the things that also politicians must be advised against, because he is not in a position to make such comments. He was not there. He was not part of the meeting. And honestly, when people begin to speak like this, they immediately begin to suggest that they know more than even the organizers of the program. How did he know that it was self-inflicted if he was not aware of the behind-the-scene arrangements to cause the violence? He must know something, and that is why he's trying to explain it away. I have said I don't have the responsibility or capacity to conduct investigation. And that is what people should allow the law enforcement agencies shoulder with the responsibility of investigation, to unravel the people behind the mask.
So, Mr. Jacob, if that is still going on, wherein then the accusation against the APC come in?
Yes. Normally, they will say that you make deductions. But as a lawyer, I won't do such deductions. But you see, you can't stop people from making deductions from preceding occasions or happenings. It is now common knowledge that in Kaduna, all manners of gatherings that have tended to oppose the sitting government or to say something objectively in against the government have been visited with attacks. We are aware that when the NLC organized its rally, the rally was physically assaulted. When a member of the APC was decamping and went to the NUJ Secretariat to make his publication on the decamping, I'm talking of Senator Unkwi, he was physically assaulted by thugs. And several other meetings like that. Once it is witnessed or it is deducted that you are going to say something that will hurt the sitting government, some violence is visited on you. And you cannot refuse to make these deductions and draw these similar conclusions when a thing is repeated over and over and over again. Of course, the meeting in Kaduna by the PDP was very intimidating. The crowd outside was much more than the crowd
Okay,
inside,
Mr. Jacob.
because the venue was small.
Let's bring in Mr. Yohana, who is of the APC. He's here because of some of those allegations. Well, Mr. Yohana, yes, you just had him build and then go down memory lane, almost trying to establish a pattern, saying wherein if there's going to be a rally or any such gathering that may voice concerns against the sitting government, they are usually attacked. And as such, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, in a manner of speaking, concerning the rally, PDP rally in Kaduna. So directly or indirectly, if you will, APC is accused in this case again.
Chamberlain, thank you for this opportunity, and viewers at home, good morning. I won't sit here and join issues with Barrister Mark Jacob, because they are found of all this kind of unsubstantiated allegation. In the course of his presentation earlier, you heard him saying that even after they didn't get approval from the relevant authority to use the Ahmadu Bello Stadium, the governor of Kaduna State, in person of Malam Nasser El-Rufai, in his magnanimity of sportsmanship, granted them the Township Stadium, that's Ranchers Beach Stadium. And they had their rally there. Chamberlain, could you please ask Mark Jacob in the course of our discussion, what kind of people will come into a crowd they claim intimidated the ruling political party in Kaduna, that they couldn't tame those strange people that came in? Like our public relations officer said, he said that violence there was self-inflicted. It was disagreement they had among themselves, where they had some people to come there, and the money they promised to pay them, they didn't pay them exactly what they promised to pay them. And you know how these boys operate. It is highest bidder, money for hand, back for grant. And when they found out that it was PDP's usual way of deceit, they knew that this money wasn't going to come. So, and the next thing is to vent their anger on innocent Nigerians that came there for an appearance fee. Because as far as we are concerned in APC, PDP is no match to us. And 99% of the crowd you saw there, that they came there on an appearance fee. Whether the fee was paid after the lesson, I don't know. But this miscreant normally want their own payment to be.
All right, I think we lost you, Mr. Johanna. We'll try and reestablish that connection and sort that out, because there's some natural questions that will come up from what you've said in order to see how we can understand your point.
Yeah, looks like he's back now.
Okay.
Mr. Johanna, if you can hear us, I just want to know, how do you know that 99% of, I mean, those were your words, of those who came there were rented?
Okay, we're thoroughbred politicians, and we've been in this game for a very long time. We understand how this thing goes. Let me tell you something. There is no political party that does not hire crowd. It's just at the level each political party hires. Some days is 20%, some days is 30%, some days is 50%, some days is 99% out of that. Let me tell you something that you might not know. In Kaduna State, PDP is gone. PDP is gone. What you see PDP doing in Kaduna State is the last kick of a dying horse.
Well, let me come to you now, Mr. Mark.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Johanna. I heard what you said. I mean, you have just admitted on national television that we should never go by the crowds that we see, be it PDP or APC. You have admitted on national television that your party, more specifically, your party, yes. I'm just bringing to you the implications of what it is that you have said. Let me come to Mr. Mark Jacob to see if he will agree with you. You know, that, you know, maybe a certain percentage, maybe if not all of it. Mr. Mark Jacob, is it possible that, you know, a certain percentage, maybe not to your knowledge, because you were just chairing the committee on getting the venue, isn't that correct? But is it to your knowledge that maybe a percentage of the people who came there were hired?
Well, just like you have said, this is good information and it's good expo for Nigerians to accept that an official of the APC is admitting on national television that they normally hire people to attend their functions. The PDP does not have that capacity. The sitting government may go around and hire millions of people because they have the state treasury and several other sources of funding for that. The PDP in Kaduna State has been out of government since 2015. And we don't have a minister, we don't have commissioners, we don't have people that will come and give us money to hire such a crowd. The entire stadium was filled to capacity. And like I said, there are people outside, much more than the people inside. And for the record, I can give you the videos and the tapes. You will see family men, you will see married women, you will see groups, associations, you will see support groups of matured professionals, all in attendance. There is no quantum of money we can en masse to hire for
He raised a fundamental question, though. I mean, he says, when I look, I mean, take a look at the people that are there, very enthusiastic crowd, full of energy. Young people don't look like they can be intimidated by anyone. How is it possible then that another group of young people or, you know, thugs, as the case might be, will try to invade such a rally for people who are passionate about you know, a particular candidate and be attacked in the manner that we saw?
That's what I'm saying. Look, just like our former president would say, that it's a madman that will stand in front of a moving train or somebody holding a gun. These people came armed. We came into the stadium early in the morning with flags and banners. Nobody was armed. Before anybody could say anything, they burst through the gate. They broke the gate. The Ranchers Stadium is there. They know the gate was broken. The security policemen that were there were overwhelmed. And the entire arena was attacked by armed thugs. So when we are talking of electoral violence, we must call people out when they do the wrong things. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble. The people who came into the stadium in the middle of the proceedings, they were not part of the program.
Yeah, but Mr. Jacob, who are you calling out now?
I'm calling out the criminals that were sponsored to come there because, again, just like my brother has admitted, they are good at hiring people, even to attend their program. So we'll not be surprised if they also hired some people to come and disrupt an ongoing program that had proceeded for more than 2 hours uninterrupted. And it was being blind. Up to that stage, there was not single altercation. There was not single quarrel with anybody. People were just dancing and singing and listening to speeches. Then, bam, the gate was pulled down and people came in with cutlasses. Imagine, unarmed people, even if they are youth, they will not stand. So people had to come out for cover. It was the intervention of the police that took charge of the situation to allow us to proceed with the program.
But Mr. Jacob,
otherwise,
what comes
the intention was to disrupt the program in such a way that they'll have
what comes across with what you're saying is that because several persons who attended that rally may have at the back of their minds that this was done by your rival political party. But what you told us now is that the matter is still being investigated by the police. So now with this sort of mutual suspicion, how then do politicians or political parties conduct themselves if they cannot rely on the narratives of the police? Isn't this going to further fuel the danger or violence that may occur in different political parties when they're holding their rallies?
Look, let me just say this. Whoever got injured in that rally was somebody's son, or somebody's daughter, or somebody's mother or father. And humanity should talk to us. Whoever engineered the influx of the talk from outside, if we had an internal combustion, it would have erupted from inside. But like I explained to you, the security agencies will confirm that while the rally was going on, some people came and broke the gate and entered forcefully and overwhelmed everybody. And they came into a crowd that was unarmed. Now, I am scared that if to take precaution, people now begin to organize rallies and they put up a force to counter such attacks, we will not have a peaceful political process. And that is what I'm afraid of, because there is nobody that will organize a rally peacefully without arms, and then you just have, while you are proceeding with your own program, some other outsiders just come in with arms and begin to chase you around. The storyline that was already trending before the end of the rally was that Kaduna people have rejected PDP, and therefore they came and chased PDP out of the stadium. It was already trending. So it suggests that some people were already, they were aware of the attack that was going to take place, and they were already preparing the minds of Nigerians to understand why they attack people.
All right.
In their mind,
yeah, just hang on, Mr. Yohana. Now, with narratives such as this, one doesn't know what different camps are thinking at the moment in terms of their next line of action, probably whenever there's another rally from another political party. And these are the kind of things that the organizers, INEC, they're all trying to address this to stop political violence. Mr. Yohana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Chamberlain.
All right,
please,
so
let me correct an impression.
Go ahead.
Let me correct an impression.
No,
But Jacob kept emphasizing that I say we hire thugs. Let me correct that impression. What I said, I can remember very well. There is no political party. There is no political party that does not hire crowd. It's just that the level, the percentage differs. For some, there's a high. For some, there's an average. Are you with me?
Go ahead.
Are you with me? Did you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
So let him not keep throwing it up that I said we hire a crowd. No. What I said very well.
Yeah, we heard you on that one. What is being done now to address the narrative impression they have about opposing political parties fomenting trouble whenever groups like that gather?
Yeah, you see, I am glad he admitted that the relevant agencies are investigating the matter. So I don't want us to overflow the issue. Let's wait and see how the investigation pans out. But let me say this. Let me say this. We, the ruling party, are very, very careful the way we conduct ourselves. That is why on the day of that their rally in Kaduna, they cannot tell you that they saw APC members there. And I keep saying it, if you check the video that is trending of that violence, the violence came up towards the end of the rally when the crowd has started leaving. So, like I said, they did not fulfill their own side of the bargain.
Yeah, but if you say they didn't fulfill their own end of the bargain, and you said over, what, 90% of the people there were hired, so does it mean that, what, 89.9 or 87% of the other people were paid, and then those few were not paid? So those kind of narratives, it leaves people wondering.
Chamberlain, people that are hired come at different appearance fee. The miscreants, usually the appearance fee is higher than that of the normal gentle ladies and men.
Why is that?
Probably because of the hatchet job that the people that engage them have assigned them to do.
So politicians pay those who can foment trouble than those who are decent.
There were enough security agents at that venue that day. At both, from what I heard, at all entry points, there were security agents there. And to an extent, people were thoroughly screened and searched.
Yeah, but Mr. Yohana, help us understand this. You're suggesting that the appearance fee for the thugs and those who foment trouble is higher than those who will go in there decent. Why is that the case? Why do they pay those who foment trouble much more? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I kept getting calls. Calls kept coming in. So
okay, so go ahead if you heard the question. Did you hear it? Go ahead then.
Please say again.
I'm asking you, when you say that the appearance fee for the thugs are higher than those who are gentle, so politicians encourage violence.
Some politicians still encourage violence, while some have still moved on. And PDP are very good at that. If you can remember, during their time from 1999 to 2015. Worst situation have happened at this. It is our party now that is copying some.
All right, gentlemen, we need to hear from both of you. As we wind down on this, we need to hear from both of you. Now, INEC is concerned. They've summoned, from what we hear, political parties concerning the peace accord that has been signed, so that they don't make nonsense or rubbish of that accord, the peace accord that was signed, because it's yielded fruit, as they say, as we also have reported over time. Now, what needs to be done? Starting from you, Mr. Jacob, what do you think needs to be done to ensure that politicians stick to what they have agreed to, a peaceful conduct of elections, and ensure that the messages that they send drills down to supporters such that they conduct themselves decently all the time?
Let me just say this, Chamberlain. Look, political violence usually is the last-ditch effort by persons who believe they are losing and who think they can force their opinion or their position on others. Because if you are winning elections, for instance, you will be the last person that will like violence to take place. And we had an example of that occurrence in 2011, 2012, when Goodluck Jonathan won the election. The people who started violence in Kaduna particularly were protesting against the victory of Jonathan. And they went after all known PDP stalwarts inside the metropolis. And that violence certainly spread throughout the north. And we had the cantankerous statements from all the APC leaders at that time. And they have carried on with that tradition in all their politics. And I'm very happy that my brother is giving insider information as to how they recruit troublemakers, that they even pay them more than those who are attending the program. This is very crucial, and I think the security forces should take advantage of this very vital information to find out who normally recruits, who normally pays. Because this thing he's saying, I've been national legal advisor. I'm not aware of situations where you go to recruit staff and pay them higher than those who are coming for your own program. What is the intention? But as a former PRO, he is giving vital information as to how they do their own thing. And it should be instructive for INEC to take advantage of this information, for the security forces to take advantage and investigate, because this is from inside, and he knows what he is.
All right.
For me, I may say that we don't have knowledge of how this is done.
Okay, Mr. Yohana, we're asking about peaceful conduct of politicians, their words at every political rally. I did say that INEC is concerned. They've asked different political parties to show up and so that they can all talk about some of these things. What would you suggest be done to ensure that there's always that peaceful conduct of rallies and people are matured about their rallies?
My advice to my fellow politicians is desperation won't take us anywhere, because a lot of politicians are so desperate to win elections. That's where they employ all kinds of means and tactics. And that will not help us, because we need to have a country first before we will win elections and govern or legislate over citizens. Moving forward, politicians should guide their supporters, their followers, that violence will not take us anywhere. And Chamberlain, it will interest you to know that if you see how the principal actors conduct themselves, when they want to sit down for a cup of tea, you'll be surprised at the kind of things that they say during rallies and how they conduct themselves when they sit catching lifestyle. So I employ supporters to look at their principals, how they hobnob with each other, the cordial relationship that exists between them when they are having their conversation at the top. That will help the supporters and the followers a lot. And like I said, we need to have a country first. And violence won't take us anywhere. Rather, it will deteriorate the security challenges we're having now. Because with what has happened some few days ago in Kaduna, I can assure you that a lot of people will be skeptical coming to rallies, even if something is there.
Is that not what they wanted to achieve?
Say again?
Isn't that what those who send the thugs usually want to achieve?
Yeah. Look, it's within them. Look, Chamberlain, there are things you don't know about PDP in Kaduna. They already have a lot of issues. There are different camps. You have the camp of the former governor, you have the camp of the former vice president, you have the camp of
yeah, I think
the disgruntled ones that lost out in the primaries.
Okay.
So
we keep losing time and again.
What is throwing up now.
So
that's why you see that
in helping those who like to get to the bottom of the matter to ensure that they don't engage thugs when they go out for this kind of campaigns. Are
you referring to the relevant security agency or the politicians?
Yeah, just hang on. So when those thugs are engaged, do their leaders, the leaders in the political parties...
Why are they engaged?
Pardon me, just a minute. So when whichever political party engage thugs and pay them much more than those who are decent, do you think that those leaders in those political parties, perhaps those who are high, if it's whoever engages them, do they speak against them hiring those thugs? Are they usually aware of it, or do they gloss over it? What usually is the scenario from what you know?
Chamberlain, some politicians, that's their specialities, and some political parties have that record of inflicting violence on their political opponents over time. Thank God our party has helped in curbing this violence to an extent. You can attest to it. Coming from 1999 to date, the level of violence is dropping gradually, and we're hoping that as we continue ruling this country, one day violence at campaign rallies or political gathering will be history. So, and we will not relent in telling the youths, because most of the people that perpetrate this violence are youths, because they have the numbers, they have the strength. So we will not relent in telling them that, look, violence will take us anywhere. Calm down. We know there are challenges. You people need jobs. You don't have jobs. And this extra energy you have, you want to dispense it somewhere, but violence is not the best way to dispense your energy. So like, let me tell you, it's work in progress, and we all have a stake in the Nigerian project.
Okay,
we all have a stake. So working on that to cut down the level of violence is work in progress.
All right, so we need to wrap up now. Mr. Jacob, is your party, or are you aware, is your party in receipt of any invitation from INEC about addressing political violence and adhering to the tenets of the peace accord?
The peace accord, yes, we did.
Okay, I think we lost Mr.
You are
Jacob.
aware.
All right.
Just like I said.
Okay.
Hello?
Go ahead, please, in conclusion. Go ahead.
Okay, just as I said earlier, if we had plans to cause violence, we would have come to that stadium with our arms up, like they do in their own party. But we didn't have, and we didn't plan to do it. Like you said, we had a lot of youth there. If we were interested in violence, there would have been an armed group.
All right, Mr. Jacob, so I have to thank you very much indeed. There's some interference which is distorting the message you're trying to pass across. But we have to thank both of you for coming on. Mr. Mark Jacob, former National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party, as well as the immediate past Assistant Organizing Secretary of the APC, Samuel Yohana. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. Now, we do expect that there will be a lot more peaceful conduct and narratives for each political campaign, all the rallies, as it were.